Am I the a-hole for not giving my estranged sister a place to stay with her kids while she was on her way to our parents? I have been estranged from my sister ever since she carried out an affair with my ex-fiancé. I found out because my brother caught the two of them together. She tried to get my blessing for them to be together. I just told her to consider herself down one sister and told her I never wanted to see her again. I stuck to my word. She married my ex, had kids with him, and has stuck by him through his destroying their finances. Then 3 weeks ago, he was arrested and my sister found out the guy who was letting her and the kids stay was no longer okay, and so she called family members. My aunt told her that my parents were out of town and she should go to their house. My parents were on vacation and my sister lives 3 states from our parents, and apparently I'm right in the middle. She called our aunt to say she couldn't find a place she could afford overnight, so aunt gave her my address and told her to stay with me. She showed up. I shut the door. She called aunt called me and told me the story. I refused to let them stay. Aunt reasoned it was just for one night, but I stuck to my word. Aunt ended up paying for a place for them to stay. By the time my parents got home, sister was there and nobody had told them. Then my saying no turned into the debate of the whole family. My siblings, the ones I still talk to, all said that I should never have been a place she would even dare show up at. One of them also refused to let her stay overnight, so they were not afraid to stand up for me. My parents say they understand. They just hated that my sister's kids were upset at not having anywhere to go at night, and that the place they ended up at was scary. They told me they understood. They just wished I could have found some way to love her kids and give them a place to sleep at least. But they also know I never met them and were strangers to each other and them to my husband and kids. Other members of the family are not seeing it that way though, and I have been told I should be ashamed of myself, that I'm hateful, and that they hope I need to beg her for something one day and she leaves me in the dust too. And my kids. According to my siblings, she has been saying how angry she is that I didn't give her kids a place to stay, and she has apparently called me a heartless witch. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Oh no, your sister, who is such a stand-up person that she slept with your fiancé, thinks you are a bad person. Who cares what she thinks? Not the a-hole. Why has no one mentioned the aunt is the real villain here? Opie is not the a-hole, but she sure is. Other members of the family are not seeing it that way, and I have been told I should be ashamed of myself. So the aunt is not only the a-hole, but I almost wonder if there can be legal action that can be taken due to the usually blatant privacy violation of giving her address to an estranged and not wanted ex-sister. Not the a-hole. Of course not the a-hole. Your sister seems to make terrible choices all the time. Marrying your ex, leaving her home in a hurry, having 3 kids and no money to spend the night. None of this is your problem or responsibility. I don't think she had much choice in leaving the house. It wasn't hers or my ex's, and they weren't staying there for a very long at that point. But that's what happens when someone makes you lose your home. She had a choice in who she married, how she got into her situation, and myriad other decisions between marriage and moving. This is all on her, even if it's her idiot husband. Thank God you got away from that mess. That got them kicked out. She chose him, so she bears blame for her situation. Imagine being so naive, or such an a-hole. You think screwing your sister's fiancé, then marrying and having kids with him, will work out. The sister isn't sorry at all, judging by how she is weaponizing her kids to better suit her poor me narrative. The aunt who gave her Opie's address and ended up buying her a hotel room could have bought the damn room in the first place. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my mom I won't talk to my half-siblings until they can apologize? I, 19 female, lost my dad when I was 6. My mom and him didn't have the best marriage, so she was dating again 6 months after he died and met her current husband 11 months after his passing. She introduced him to me right away, and she did ask me how I felt and wanted to know how I was doing, but nothing I said really made a difference to the pace of their relationship. They started having babies right away and have 6 children together, ranging from the age of 11 down to 4. The biggest problem here is with the 11, 10, and 9-year-olds. They're kids, so again, I could be a huge A for this, but here goes. Around 3 years ago, the 3 half-siblings I mentioned started telling me to call their dad Dad. That's what it started with. He's not Jim, he's Dad, kind of thing. I explained to them that he was their dad, but not my dad, and I showed them photos of my dad. After a while of that, they told me it was mean to not let him be my dad, though since he was the best one and he wanted to be my dad too. I told them that didn't change who my dad was. I asked them how they would feel if he died and mom brought home a new dad. They told me that wouldn't happen, / that was wrong, / different and all sorts of stuff. I had brought it up to mom and their dad. Mom told me I should talk to them a few times, but they continued coming to me. When we had a virtual graduation party for me last year, my then 10-year-old half-sister, now 11-year-old, corrected me in front of everyone for saying how I was sad Dad had missed this part of my life. She told me he didn't miss it. He was right here. My mom tried to shush her, but she shut me down a second time. Other stuff has happened in between, and then 2 months ago, I was briefly home for a week, and during that time they were going crazy on correcting me. Even had a younger ones copying them. And then they told me they were glad my dad was dead, and that it wasn't important. He was dumb, and I was dumb for missing him and not adopting their dad. Some of what they said felt very mature, and like something someone else had said. But then they just kept repeating over and over that they were glad my dad was dead, and it made them happy. I used to call home to talk to them a few times a month, and now I haven't. And my mom called me to get me to, but I told her I won't talk to them until I get a real apology, and until their behavior changes. She told me I need to be an understanding adult about this. I told her no. I told her the fastest way for me to never have anything to do with them again is to hear over a long period of time that they're glad my dad is dead and that my dad doesn't matter. She told me even that it would be extreme. I told her I don't love them more than my dad, and hearing them talk like that about him would fracture our relationship beyond repair. I told her 3 years of dealing with this stuff for it to get worse is too much. She and her husband called me out for being wrong about this, so I'm here to ask. Am I the a-hole? Edited to add, Jim has, over the course of the time I have known him, tried to get me to call him dad. He pushed it a few times over the years, but would bring it up regularly. But I never wanted to. He will never be my father. I don't ever see the day where I love him either. I've had issues with him because of how often he brought it up and the pushing, but there's no fixing that now. Not the a-hole, but your mom and Jim sure are for not nipping this in the bud when it started. Saying they're just kids only means they'll grow up thinking this kind of harassing and bullying behavior is okay. Likely because at least Jim is behind this, and either the mother knows and has done nothing or she's behind it as well. The kids didn't come to this conclusion on their own. While kids are a lot more switched on than we often give them credit for, this is straight up manipulation from a parent. Given her mother is trying to get Opie to be a doormat under the guise of being the adult, she's trying to manipulate Opie so the mother can go back to getting what she wants and ignoring Opie's emotional needs. All frankly points to the mother being as guilty as Jim. I'll be shocked if mother isn't behind it, seeing as she already let Opie know her marriage to her dad was not the best. She obviously has no love lost for her ex, and would likely want him completely removed from existence, including all memories. Exactly this. These kids would have absolutely accepted that Opie has a different father to them, and it would be completely normal to them had they had no outside interference telling them otherwise. Both Jim and Mom have to have been in their ear all this time, trying to manipulate Opie through her siblings. And even if, on the slightest off chance that didn't happen, Mom should have been the one correcting them from the very beginning, Opie should never have had to correct them on their own. It is a parent's job to correct their children when they're doing something wrong and hurtful. It's clear as day that both Mom and Jim condone and encourage this behavior to pressure Opie to try to make her forget her dad, which is completely asinine behavior. I really feel for Opie. I cannot imagine people trying to tell me my mom, who died when I was the same age as Opie when her dad died, was bad and they were glad she was dead. Just that right there should have gotten those kids a very stern talking to, at the absolute least. You don't say stuff like that to people. Ever. Oh wow. I'm sorry you're dealing with this. Not the a-hole. They might be kids, but they're old enough to know it's not right to tell someone you're glad their dad is dead. That's really mean and nasty and hurtful. Have you spoken with her dad about it? It might mean more coming from him if he tells them to stop. Assuming, of course, he doesn't also want you to call him dad. I had a whole part about him that I had to take out. But yeah, I have issues with him because he really wanted me to call him dad, and has brought it up so many times and pushed it a few times as well since I've known him. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my stepdaughter to not bother coming to our house for school this year? I, 28 female, talked to my stepdaughter, 16 female, a few months before summer started and asked if she could babysit her siblings for the summer, since me and her father both work, and since I'm pregnant, all the extra money is needed. She said no because she has already made plans for the summer and she would rather not babysit the whole summer. But if I need help every once in a while, I could text her. I told her no because it's a full-time thing and I need her every day. A week or so later, I find out that she's babysitting her aunt's kids for the summer, and when I ask her why she lied, she said that her aunt is paying her and helping her learn Spanish. She's half Puerto Rican. She also said that her aunt is taking her to Puerto Rico and she wanted to get more in touch with her culture. I told her that she should always choose family over money, and now I know that having her fun time is worth more than spending time with her family, and don't even bother coming to living with us for school. She left me on read. I'd only texted my husband during Father's Day and on her sibling's birthday. School started and she hasn't come over once since the whole time when she would usually come every weekend, nor have my other stepkids since they only come when she comes over. My husband is now mad at me, blaming me for driving his kids away from him, but my kids keep asking when she is coming over. Am I the a-hole for telling my stepdaughter to not bother coming to school with us this year? Now for the top comments. You're the a-hole. Your stepdaughter doesn't exist to provide free childcare for you for a whole summer. Stop being salty that she chooses the person that values her enough to pay her. How are you surprised that your manipulative threats didn't work? Heck, even when I babysat my siblings, my parents paid me because it's a job. It's a job, and not an easy one. You're the a-hole. Isn't her aunt family? Aunt versus wicked stepmother? Sounds like she did choose family. And who pays for babysitting, engages in mutual beneficial exchange, invests in exposing her niece to culture and travel that is meaningful to her niece, or a stepmom that is pregnant and can't afford childcare and wants a full-time free sitter. Damn, hard to choose. Yes, you're the a-hole like the rest. But how do you figure she lied? She said she made plans. You don't have to know what those plans are. And how is her aunt not family? You're all over the place here, OP. Her mom posted pictures of her on Facebook with her thanking her sister for connecting her daughter with her roots. And in the comments they were talking about if she had to babysit on the weekend, because her mom wants to take her to school shopping that weekend. Those were her plans. Were you expecting this babysitting for free? Based on all the extra monies needed, I'm going to guess yes. Last story. Am I the a-hole for telling my mom that my sister canceled our plans? I, 18 female, was supposed to celebrate my birthday the other day by just hanging out with my younger sister Kate, 16 female. We made plans earlier in the week to go to this movie I wanted to see and get dinner afterwards. It's normal for my sister and I to spend our birthdays with each other because our dad, who we live with, has never been the celebration type. So as soon as my sister and I could drive, we just started celebrating on our own. On the day off, I got dressed and everything because I thought my sister and I were still going through with the plans we made. But she came into my room and told me that she was going to her friend's house because it was his birthday, and they were having a party. I tried not to look hurt about it because it's understandable that she'd want to hang out with her friends at a party more than she'd want to hang out with me at a movie theater, watching something she isn't interested in. I told her to have a good time and just kinda sat on my bed for a while. Our mom FaceTimed me a little while later and asked why I was still in my room if the movie had started already. I told her that Kate and I weren't going to the movie anymore and that Kate was at her friend's house celebrating his birthday. My mom hung up a bit after that and I ended up buying myself a cake and eating it in my room while watching TV on a group call with some friends. When my sister got home later that night, she immediately came up to my room and told me how petty it was for me to have told our mom on her, and that she's tired of always having to hang out with me instead of having a good time with her friends. I didn't know she felt like that. I don't really go out often, so when I do, she's with me. If I had known she didn't like hanging out with me, I wouldn't have offered all the time. I told her that I didn't realize she wanted the party with her friends to be a secret, but she rolled her eyes and went to her room. She told our dad what happened, and he got on to me for getting back at my sister for canceling on me. He said that I should have known what would happen if I told our mom that Kate had other plans, and that I'm in the wrong for snitching. I really didn't mean to do that, but I guess the impact of what I did matters more than the intention. One of my friends said that I didn't do anything wrong and that my sister should be apologizing to me, but I don't know. Not the whole. This is pretty tangled. Starting from the top. If Kate wanted to go out with her friends rather than with you, she should have said so instead of lying to you and changing plans at the last moment. Your mom, I think, was being a little clever. She probably suspected that your sister went out with friends when she wasn't supposed to and she called you to verify. She also probably suspected you needed a little comfort after your sister ditched you. Two birds, one stone. Your mom got on your sister's case for lying about what she was doing and for going out with friends without clearing it with the parental units. This, by the way, was a consequence of your sister's behavior. Your father is also out of line. He is trying to tell you that you should have helped your sister deceive your mother in order that your sister escape consequences for her actions. People lying to you does not make you an a-hole. People hurting you does not make you an a-hole. People expecting you to lie to cover up their a-holery does not make you an a-hole. You are not the a-hole here. You are, if anything, the victim. Out of everyone here, I think you and your mother are in the right. Everyone else misbehaved. Not the a-hole. If your dad accuses you of snitching, then he is admitting that what your sister did is wrong, and he is trying to hide it. Your mom asked you a question, and you answered. You did nothing wrong. Your sister is the total a-hole here. Leaving you on your birthday to hang out with her friends is a horrible thing to do. Not to mention she snitched on her for telling their mother. Dad is the a-hole here too. He didn't do anything for his daughter's 18th birthday, but came to yell at her because she slighted his favorite child. Though my best guess is that he got an earful from mom for allowing this to go down. Am I the a-hole for telling my dad and his wife their marriage wasn't a deal my siblings and I signed up for? My dad married his wife 5 years ago. I, 16 female, was 11, my brother was 14, and my sister was 15. His wife had an 8 and 6-year-old at the time, who are now 11 and 13. The marriage was tough on my siblings and me. Our dad's wife came in day 1 of living together and made things much more strict, with our dad's backing obviously, but she was always on us. Always picking apart the stuff we did. We'd always had chores, but usually my brother and I woke up early and did ours before school, while my sister did hers in the hour she was home without anyone else. That was stopped, and we were told all kids had to do chores together, so the big kids could help the little ones. My sister said it wasn't our job to help her kids. Dad's wife said they were our siblings now, which my sister and brother loudly declared they were not, and it became a fight. We went from being able to eat out with friends after school or at friends' houses to needing to be home for family dinners. We complained to our dad, but he said it was important to his wife that we all come together. Stuff like that was common, and she and my brother and sister fought a lot because my siblings did not treat her kids even close to how they treated me, and it bothered her. With me, it was less of a fight because I was the baby of our sibling group, and I think she thought I would eventually take the role over. When I didn't, and my siblings made no effort to be her kids' big siblings, she and my dad dragged me to family therapy, and we have been going for a while now. What sparked the interest in therapy was my sister ended up moving into a place, and she had a room just for me there, and another just for my brother, and no special space for our step-siblings. So anyway, therapy has been ongoing for months now. And it's basically been a lot of my dad and his wife talking and asking why I don't call her stepmom or her kids' siblings. And then the therapist finally decided to take control recently and start going into more stuff. And he asked why it bothered them so much that we weren't super close. And my dad's wife said her kids came as part of the package deal. And we all knew the deal when they got married. I jumped in and said my siblings and I never signed up for their marriage. Said we were part of no deal. And it's not fair to hold us to any deal made because we didn't make it. My dad blew up on me in the session. And the therapist was trying to defuse the situation. The last 4 sessions, my dad and his wife have dominated the sessions over what I said. They also put me under house arrest for being rude and selfish for saying what I did. It pisses me off, but part of me wonders if I was wrong to say it. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. Tell the therapist that you've been grounded for sharing your feelings in a therapy session. I don't think there's much she can do at this point. Is basically just another body in the room during these sessions when my dad and his wife dominate. It's literally his job to handle this. Could you contact him outside of the sessions, or do you feel unsafe doing that? Also, are her kids there, or just you? Just me. It is his job, but, yeah, I could call. Your parents are being dishonest about the therapy. They wanted to fix you, instead of learning what is going wrong with the family dynamic. Tell the therapist you're being punished for things you say in therapy. Not the a-hole. Move in with your sister if you can. They will never change. They are literally forcing you to therapy to fix the mess they made. They will always blame you guys. If I were Opie, I'd do it. I'd call the police non-emergency and speak with an officer and say, I'm 16 and moving in with my sister. My dad might throw a fit, and I know legally you guys can't do anything since it's a civil matter. I just wanted to get an idea what would happen if he does call you guys so I can be prepared. The few times I've had to preemptively call, they've even given me a way to teach the notes for call so I could tell the officer to check the notes, and then evening always goes my way. Not day hall. To hold you in contempt for what was said during therapy, where you're supposed to feel safe and heard, is disgusting parenting. You're absolutely right. You guys didn't sign up for this package deal. And for them to hold you accountable for their choices is messed up. I hope that the therapist gains control of the sessions, and feel free to tell them that you are being punished at home for what is said in sessions. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for taking my things out of my room because I'm moving and making my foster sister cry? So I, 18 female, am moving out. I've been sharing a room with my foster sister, just 16, for 3 months. Throughout my life, I have had many foster siblings and have been forced to give up my things for them, which I think is where my possessiveness of my belongings comes from. I told my mom I was going to pack my stuff beforehand, and she said sure, but that her and Jess would be out while I do so. I didn't take all the furniture, but I took things like my keyboard, my plants, my books, posters/art, all my clothes, etc. I also took the butcher's block that I had. By the time everything was packed, my side looked a lot more bare, but it wasn't too bad. I also took the cats, which was always the plan between my mom and I. Well, when the pair gets home, Jess looks at the boxes and runs upstairs before sobbing. My mom runs up too and starts ragging on me. Apparently, she didn't think I'd take all my stuff, things like my trinkets and my lamp, and that I took some of Jess's favorite things, like the posters on my wall that I bought with my own money or my graduation candle holders. I apologized to Jess, but say that everything in the boxes is mine, through gifts or my own money. I even offered to buy her some duplicates or similar things, but she said she wants my ones. At this point, I leave because I realize my presence isn't making anything better. My mom texted me later and said it was a prick move not leaving some posters up or a few books. But in my mind, these are my things and I am entitled to them. My relationship with my mom isn't over, but it's strained, and now I'm wondering if I should have just bit the bullet and left some things behind, even though they're mine. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. It's your stuff. You have every right to take it. Exactly. And Opie was even generous enough to offer to buy Jess some stuff of her own. I get that as a foster child, Jess might have abandonment issues, but that doesn't mean that Opie has to give up her things. The real a-hole here is Opie's mom for berating Opie. That's only enabling Jess and making her feel more entitled to Opie's belongings. Opie's mom is failing both girls here. She could have used this as a bonding moment with Jess, to take her out and buy Jess her own books and posters that Jess could keep forever. That was my thought. She took her out so she wouldn't be there while the packing was going on. And if she had realistic expectations, she could have done that then, so Jess could have been excited to redecorate and less focused on the leaving aspect. Not the a-hole. While sharing is important, being forced to share is basically theft. It's not your fault your foster sister likes your things. You like them too. So yes, take all of your stuff and get out of there. Not the a-hole. These are your things and no one is entitled to them but you. Also, your foster sister's mental health isn't your responsibility. It's your mom's. Also, let me point out that you have nothing to feel guilty for. This strain on your relationship is your mother's fault as a consequence of her reaction. Not the a-hole. They were your things. You had no reason to anticipate Jess's reaction nor duty to remedy it. My guess is she's sadder about you leaving than your posters, and the boxes and barren room really drove that home. Maybe as a 16-year-old foster child, she has abandonment issues? Her refusal to accept the replacement posters would certainly support this theory. So I don't know if I can call Jess the a-hole. Your mom, however, is definitely the a-hole for blaming you for Jess's reaction and, once again, demanding that you sacrifice your own things for your foster siblings. Next story is titled, Would I be the a-hole for throwing every wrestling match I'm forced to attend? My 15-male school has recently restarted all of the sports programs after almost a year of no limited activity. Before that, I was part of the swim team, one of the smaller groups at our school. I love swimming, and it really sucked that we couldn't go for such a long time. With the restart, the school also made a new system. Every student writes down 3 different after-school activities in order of interest. So number 1 choice is your favorite, 2 your second favorite, and so on. The teachers in charge of the groups then pick the students. First pick is students who already belong to the groups before lockdown. Second pick is then random, and third pick is if there are still places left open in the group. Since I was part of the swim team before and put it down as my first choice, I would basically be guaranteed to get in. But now the results are out and I was placed in wrestling. Never even put that on my list at all. So I went to the teacher and asked what's going on. Turns out the teacher in charge of wrestling specifically requested me for whatever reason. Turns out my dad knows the wrestling teacher quite well and asked for me to be placed on the team. I know my dad hates that I prefer swimming. He always says it's not a real sport, and that I should do some sport that actually gives me muscles. He constantly tells me I'm too skinny for a guy, and has made several attempts to make me go to the gym to work out. I asked the teachers if I can still switch teams, but they say no. I also cannot just avoid a wrestling club because after-school activities are mandatory. So last night, I had a huge fight with my dad. I called him a knave for forcing me to go to wrestling, and that I will just forfeit every single match I have to attend. He threatened me, saying if I do that, he will take away all my electronics, and I will only be allowed to leave the house for school and nothing else. My mom says I should have the right to choose whatever sport I want, but now that I'm on the wrestling team, I should still do my best. I'd also not call my dad an A. But I don't want to participate in something I have zero interest in, was even forced into. Also, I was really looking forward to swimming again and meeting my teammates. Now for the comments. Complain to your principal. This backroom deal between your father and the wrestling coach doesn't sound fair. To you or anyone else who trusted the voting system. Fight this placement. You deserve swim team. Not today, Hull. I can try to request a talk with the principal. We can't just walk in and talk to him. Have to go first to a teacher, then secretary and so on. But yeah, I will complain to my teachers. This isn't fair. Ask your swim coach among other teachers to speak up for you. Not today, Hull. That's ridiculous. And also, your dad doesn't think swimming gives you muscles? Less manlier sports like gymnastics and even areas like dancing can be just as good for the body as more conveniently physical sports like football and wrestling, and great for stamina, hand-eye coordination, and straight-up perseverance. Look at Nightwing in the comics. Background is a trapeze artist with an acrobatic movement style, and he is one of the sexiest DC characters for good reason. Not a-hole, but there are plenty of a-holes in your story. Dad, coach, and mom. I forced my kids to do stuff when they were your age, but only after they themselves had asked to join an activity. We had a one-semester rule. If you yourself want to play soccer, you don't get to come and go to practice as you wish because of Xbox or quit mid-season. Also, wrestling isn't just any sport. It is a combat sport that isn't for everyone. To force a young man to wrestle against his will is more bonkers than to force someone to swim. But don't call your dad an A if you want him to listen to your argument. Holy cow, not a-hole. Your father needs to learn something. Swimming is one hell of a workout. It's an Olympic sport for a reason. Sure, you don't get super buff like a bodybuilder, but you do get muscles from that. Swimming takes a lot of energy as well. It's not an easy sport. Also, you should fight this, as it was not your choice to begin with and this was a backroom deal. You stated this was not your choice. If it's not on the paper, why are you there? The teacher asked? No, they stated one of 3. Wrestling is not one of your 3 choices. So they're saying your choice doesn't matter? Or will they honor your choices? Yeah, I will try and talk to my teachers again. Maybe they will let me switch later, because I know a lot of people are asking right now to switch since they didn't get their first choice or so. Yeah, Dad doesn't like cardio workouts and so on. He also wants me to eat more and lift to get bulky like him. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for telling my sister not to bring her kids over so much? I, 25 female, recently graduated. The city I live in has a shortage of apartments. I could technically afford an available one, but that would mean I would have no extra money for anything but the bare basics. While waiting for a more reasonable place to open up, I have moved in with my parents, who own a house within reasonable commuting distance. My older sister, 32 female, has 3 children, 6 male, 3 female, 1 female. We aren't very close, as her entire identity since her oldest was born is a stay-at-home mom. She usually brings her kids over several times a week to visit, and/or have my parents babysit while she goes grocery shopping or other errands. I'm not really a kid person, don't plan on having any myself, and I can tolerate hers in small doses. Before, when I lived on campus, this wasn't really an issue. Now, however, I feel like I never get a break from kids. My parents don't allow them in my room, but when they're here, I can't go out and relax in the living room since they're in there. My room is fairly small, and I don't like being cooped up in it all day when they visit. Yesterday, when my sister picked up the kids, they decided to stay for dinner, which meant I had even less time without them. I asked my sister if she would limit their visits to a max of twice a week while I'm here, in order to respect my needs. She got extremely angry at me and accused me of selfishly preventing her kids from seeing their grandparents. Am I the a-hole? Do you ever think your parents are just tolerating you? You're 25. Move out. Entitled is the best word to describe you. You're the a-hole. I was thinking maybe the parents are encouraging the visits to annoy Opie into leaving. Lol, I bet it's this. Opie's clownishly entitled. You're the a-hole. Not your house, and I'm sure your folks love seeing their grandkids. I say this as a child-free woman who understands kids can be way too much. I get the whole child-free thing, but it really bums me out when people act like this towards their own nieces and nephews. No one is asking you to adore being with children all the time, but the disrespect these children have to endure from people who have no reason not to love them is incomprehensible to me. Yet another child-free woman here to support this post. I'm also an only child, so this situation would never happen, but I can't imagine ever having the nerve. Opie, you're the a-hole. You're the a-hole for a lot of reasons. Her entire identity since her oldest was born is stay-at-home mom. What else is it supposed to be? She's a mother with 3 kids. Give her a break. My parents don't allow them in my room. That is your needs being met, by the way. Anything past this makes you the a-hole. You want to relax in your home? Go get one. But your parents deserve to be grandparents if they want to be, and you don't get to take that away from them or your sister. But it's all about me, me, me. I hate all little kids except me, me, me. You're the a-hole. It's not your house, and nobody asked you to babysit. The entitlement coming off Opie is absolutely insane. Tomorrow, I'm breaking off my engagement. Plus updates. Original post. Last week, I, 25 male, found out that my fiancé, 24 female, cheated with her boss. I'm not sure of his age, but he's in his mid-40s, I think. I also know he's married and has 3 kids. This happened last November on a work trip while out of town, and they hooked up 3 times. How do I know? Well, her boss's wife messaged me on Facebook and told me. She's also provided me with screenshots of texts and emails between them. Graphic discussions about how they cheated on us. Also, how they got over on us, and joked about it. But then she'll tell him in the same text that she loves me so this can never come out. The boss's wife, who seems very sweet when I met her at company functions before, is understandably enraged and heartbroken, and is having him served with divorce papers tomorrow. She's also going to drop a friendly email to their HR department. So, I'm sitting here on my phone typing this, while fiancé is across from me on the sofa on a computer, planning a honeymoon trip for a wedding she has no idea is never going to happen. She's completely oblivious to the fact that her life is going to fall apart tomorrow. I don't feel any sympathy at all since mine fell apart last week. And every time I read those texts and emails, I feel like someone is sticking a knife in my heart. 3 years down the drain. Though I'm just thankful I found out before we got married. I guess there's that to be thankful for. She has no idea, but I took a vacation day tomorrow. And after she leaves for work, I'm going to go around my place and collect up all her stuff. box it up, and have it sitting by the door. Then I have to figure out if I can get any of the money I've already laid out for the wedding back. It was supposed to happen in October, but yeah, that's not happening. And when she comes home, I'm going to throw her out of my apartment and out of my life. I've debated posting all those screenshots on her Facebook page, but my sister talked me out of it. I also debated calling her parents. I feel bad for them as they are such great people, and I'm going to miss her family. They've accepted me as one of their own, and I don't know what they're going to say. But I've decided that she can explain herself to them. I don't want to hear her excuses or her lies. At this point, I just want her out of my life so I can figure out what the heck I'm going to do with the rest of my life. Now for the top advice before reading the updates. I'm invested now. Let us know how tomorrow goes. I'm sorry this happened to you. Yes, we want to hear an update, OP. But please tell the boss's wife not to call HR until after the divorce is final. If he loses his job, he could try to go after her for alimony, and she does not want that. I would honestly send a quick text to her family, letting them know why you are calling off the engagement. This way, she can't turn it around on you and try to make you out to be the bad guy. Best of luck, OP. Keep us posted. OP needs to hear this advice. It is golden. If they reach out, tell the parents. If they ask for proof, deliver it. Mainly so she doesn't spin it into a whole web of lies of saying it was a misunderstanding. Yes, I'm petty. But if the truth doesn't come out, she might make you seem to be the a-hole of an ex-fiancé who broke up due to a misunderstanding. I am thinking I'm going to have to show her parents what I have, because when she shows up at their house and tells them I broke up with her, they're going to be shocked. I would call them after you get her to leave and let them know what happened, and you have the proof if they're interested. By the time she gets to their house or calls them, they'll already know the story. OP, also be careful when having her leave your apartment. When people feel backed in a corner, they do some crazy things. If you can have someone there with you who can serve as a witness in the event things take a turn for the worst. Ultimately, protect your peace, King. Now for the first update. Wow, I cannot believe the response this post has gotten. I can safely say the bomb is dropped. Around 8 or so, my phone started going nuts. Calls from her with voicemails after each call. I knew right away what's going on. So I immediately called my sister to tell her that it was happening. She told me to stay strong, and if I wanted her to, she would come to my place and sit with me. So she's doing that. Then I had a very difficult phone conversation with my ex's mother. Jesus, I can't believe I have an ex now. Difficult because this woman has done nothing to deserve the pain I could hear in her voice. Her whole family has been nothing but accepting to me since day one. I calmly as I could explain the situation to her mother and told her that I can't find it in myself to forgive this and that I'm going to be asking her to move out. Although she was very upset, her mother seemed to understand why I feel this way. She offered as well to come to my place and help my ex get her things. I think this is a pretty good idea. Then I texted a few of my closest friends about the situation. I have been getting bombed with text from them since, but have said as soon as I can I will talk to them, but right now I am completely overwhelmed. I listened to one voicemail from my ex, and it was what I expected. Crying and asking me to call her because we really need to talk. I called her back and she didn't answer, so I started to text when she called me. Immediately, she's telling me how sorry she is. Why did I call her mom? Why did I involve other people? So I lost it and asked how she thinks I feel having to go get tested for STDs because my fiancé cheated on me. Do you know how embarrassing that is? So at least she didn't deny what she did. I told her she needs to come this afternoon and get her stuff out of my place, and that we are finished. She said we'll talk more later, but I cut her off and said, there's not a whole lot to talk about, is there? I also asked her how her and this guy could talk crap about me and his wife. Like they made fun of her for gaining weight after having 3 kids. This poor woman didn't deserve this. I didn't deserve this. I also said something to her about not trying to say she felt pressured because the guy's her boss. Her texts show clearly that she was a more than willing participant in all this. I guess she's got to meet with HR at work today, and the whole place is gossiping about the two of them. I can't feel sorry for either of them at this point. I'm already emotionally drained. It is not even 10 a.m. where I'm at. So once she's done with her HR meeting, I guess she's going to come here and get her stuff. I'm hoping it goes without much drama. My sister should be here, and I hope her mom comes with her. My landlord also says she'll be around, and she's also going to have my locks changed, hopefully, either this afternoon or tomorrow. I know this is like a long babbling post, but I was trying to remember a lot of things I said, and my mind is raving right now. Sorry this is happening to you, but you are dealing with this trauma like a boss. Long road ahead of you, but you have got this, dude. Go now, contact and focus on you. Probably not the best idea to say he's dealing with it like a boss. As someone who went through breaking off an engagement like OP, it hurt at first, but in the long run, it was worth it. Why did I involve other people? Not sure why, but it still stuns me that someone can cheat, utterly betraying their partner, and then essentially ask, why did you keep my complete betrayal of you a secret? You know, after we hung up, it dawned on me that she involved someone else in our relationship, not me. I wish I had thought of that while still speaking to her. I am so sorry you're experiencing this, but you hit the nail on the head. If she brings it up again, smack her with the facts. Best of luck to you always. Man, I wish like hell you were my local friend. I'd come by for support and make sure cooler heads prevailed with all of this. You seem like you're staying strong through this, and you've handled everything to perfection up to this point. Stay strong. Get your emotions out when she's gone. You will need to get your emotions out, or else it'll drive you insane. Don't internalize them. Feel them, either alone or with those you feel comfortable with, like your sister or friends. Just don't give the ex any satisfaction. She deserves none. Once they're out, work on being a better you. Hit the gym, read up on something that'll advance your career or just make you a better person. Spend time with your friends. Whatever your thing is, do it. Pamper yourself in the coming days and weeks. You'll need it to start healing. All the best to you, bro. Second update. Well, she's gone. She did show up with her mom and her best friend in tow, and my sister was there. No screaming, no yelling. She asked if I could just speak to her alone, and I told her that wouldn't be a good idea. I said everything she needed to say. She said it in her text messages with her boyfriend. Of course, the tears started, and her mom said that they'd make this as quick as possible. So her and her friend went and got some of her stuff, enough for a day or two. While she was gone, her mom apologized to me and said she didn't raise her daughter this way. And she asked if the guy is really married, and I said, yeah, he's married. Her mom seems pretty shattered by this whole thing. So as they got ready to leave, I asked, what about my ring, since it doesn't seem to mean all that much to you? Her friend opened her mouth like she was going to say something, and I shot her a look, and she immediately shut her mouth. I wouldn't take any bet in Vegas that her friend didn't know what she did this whole time. She covered her hand like she wasn't going to give me the ring, and her mom said, give him the goddamn ring. So she handed her mom the ring, and her mom gave it to me and again told me how sorry she is. I just dropped it in my coffee table. I don't even want to look at it. I guess she's going to come back for the rest of her stuff tomorrow with her dad. My sister said she'd like to pull the little girl's hair out of her head. Her words, not mine. But right now, I'm so beaten down by all this. I just want to lay down and sleep. She has some nerve to try to keep the ring. Because that makes it real. She could pretend that it was just a bump in the road as long as she had the ring, because if he really wanted to break up, he'd take it back. And he really wanted to break up, so he took it back. The amount of people that cheat and then are shocked their significant other breaks up with them is always surprising to me. My ex-wife got butthurt because I called her garbage after I found out she cheated on me. Some people don't have any shame, it seems. As someone who went through breaking off an engagement from a cheating partner just 2 weeks before the wedding, it hurt like hell at first, but in the long run, it was well worth it. Honestly, I would sleep with the boss's wife. My brother said the same thing. Do you know how things are going at the boss's house? No idea. I'm sure it's not fun there right now. I feel bad for the kids though. Last story. I took revenge on a cheating ex and I went overboard. Plus updates. Original post. So recently, I found out that my ex had a flirtatious relationship at work with one of her managers at a restaurant she works at. This involved dirty talking while on shift, compliments and photo sharing, and plans to hang out. I found out and told her not to text the other guy again and blocked him. Well, something told me to check her phone again, and it didn't take less a full day for her to respond back to his texts on iMessage, thus continuing the contact of cheating on me. What's worst is how she described getting caught by me to be hilarious, funny, and that she'll reach out to this guy when we're done. She made me sound like a doormat, a joke, an option, as if everything we had was a plaything for her to play with. Feeling emasculated, embarrassed, And surprised she could ever talk about me like this to another man, I posted her incriminating screenshots to her social media feeds, Instagram and Snapchat stories since I had access to the accounts, and sent those screenshots to the guy she was cheating on me with, at her boss at work, since she was doing it with another manager at a restaurant. I also sent them to her mother, as she was texting this guy the whole week I was helping her mother move to her new home. The guy responded immediately, and her boss and mother has yet to respond. She later called me back to apologize about the ordeal, but the damage was already done, and I broke the news to her about what I did and to screw her. I think I went overboard, as this is something I've never done. Take revenge on someone by screwing them over. Now for the top comments before reading the updates. Well, you didn't release the pictures, so you're in the clear with that one. I've heard a saying once. It went something like, if something can be destroyed by the truth, it wasn't meant to be. If she didn't do anything wrong and you went overboard, she wouldn't be ashamed. Yep. I think this falls in the don't do anything you wouldn't want printed in the newspaper category. While we're taking Radma's advice, don't get tattooed anywhere a judge can see, and spend extra money on the things that go between you and the ground, such as shoes, tires, and your mattress. This is PG compared to the others I've read. Also, I can be petty, and I hate cheaters. So in my opinion, you went easy on her. I hope she loses the job, and if any of those guys are married or have a girlfriend, they get caught also. Better yet, if they do, send a screenshots to them also. My ex was a waitress at a members-only exclusive restaurant in downtown San Diego. Everyone was banging everyone. I think it's pretty common in the restaurant industry. Her coworker told me she was banging one of the servers. I confronted her. She didn't bother with denials or even to downplay it. She said that after work, they all would go downstairs to another bar and unwind and get tipsy. And things just happened. That was 5 years of wasted time. It really did a number on my self-esteem for a minute. Fortunately, I met the love of my life 2 months later, and now we've been married 25 years, with no cheating. There is life and love after this. Be encouraged. I sent them to her mother as well, as I helped her mother move to her new house. All the while she was texting this guy. I wouldn't call this overboard. It was a lot, and many people just say screw it and move on without taking this sort of action. It's all understandable given your outrage at being played, and she deserves whatever comes her way. Now for the updates. I've seen that her boss has looked at the message I sent her of my ex cheating at work on the job with another restaurant manager. The boss hasn't replied yet, but she definitely knows now. Time will tell if she'll continue to be working there. Update 2. Apparently, she still has her job from the restaurant, and she's doing damage control from the social media posts. Update 3. She replied back to me letting me know the developments about what I posted, learning before and that only a person like me would care to see that happen. The conversation turned in a really ugly name-calling match. The damage has already been done. I'm being spiteful and I'm done talking with her. I'm going to desperately seek therapy and work on myself for the better. I didn't expect this to blow up, but I appreciate the advice all around. She never wanted me or deserved it all. Update 4. I contacted the owner and showed him pictures of what happened. He legally said he can't involve for situations that happened outside a restaurant, when the screenshots clearly show her and the manager flirting during the work day on the hour. I don't think he really wants to get involved. We live in an at-will employment state, meaning the employer can fire you for any reason other than an illegal one. So as uncomfortable as it is for her, the owner, the GM, the manager she cheated with, unfortunately she'll keep her job, but boy it will be uncomfortable working there. Final update. The guy she managed to cheat on me with is a single father co-parenting a son with another woman. I found out who the woman was and showed her all the screenshots. Unfortunately, she saw them texting each other for well over a year ago, and that she told him to not text her anymore because she doesn't want him hanging out with anyone that doesn't like the mother of their son. My ex-girlfriend knew her and was extremely rude and snobbish with her. They're not together anymore, so she didn't know the exact lengths of their relationship. However, she knew they texted each other a lot. To no surprise, their relationship also ended because he was also cheating on her at the same restaurant with another woman that worked there while their son was extremely young. For all the talk about how my ex-girlfriend didn't want to be a single mother and how she despised her father for cheating on her mother while she was pregnant, she sure loved playing the role as the other woman.